If I'm myself rather than who I think other people want me to be, I will end up doing what I need to do or where I'll end up where I should be. Don't let your parents be the driver. Don't let your boss be the driver. Don't let your friends be the driver. Don't worry about what other people think you should do, and what they think of you is none of your business. You've got to be, I always talk about putting the blinkers on and be true to yourself. And otherwise, that's where you're looking at depression. That's where you're looking at just getting lost. And that's where you get the question, I don't know what to do with my life. We just don't do this is the answer.
Welcome back to my podcast. I'm Tanya Corless, and thank you very much everybody who follow me, who are watching me, who support me. Thank you for staying with me. And today we're going to talk about mental health. Mental health could affect anybody, and sometimes you wouldn't even realize that you have depression or struggling with studies just because you're feeling unwell and you have no energy. Today, we'll try to verify it. It will affect you or maybe your neighbor, and why. Let me to introduce my special guest, especially special guest for me. Today's my exam. The way how I'm feeling anyway. So, podcast guru, PR guy, mental health advocate, life coach, a writer, and a presenter. Keith Walsh. Hi, Keith. Thank you very much.
Tanya, how are you doing? You've already passed with flying colours. If this is your exam, well done. You got an A.
Oh, thank you very much. You're so good. We just started. Anyway, thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much to accept my invitation because I wasn't sure if you'll be available because you're so busy guy.
Well, I always make myself available for people who've been on my course,
Okay, I'm lucky
the least
then.
I can do. Yeah.
I wasn't the least anyway, right? Okay, so today I'll try to introduce you first, okay? A little bit.
Try.
And then I'll bring you to your childhood memories. And then we'll talk about your new career.
Okay.
Okay, as far as I check you out in Instagram and all social media, by the way, it's my first time when I check you out, when I do preparation for my podcast, and I was so impressed because I didn't know that you were such a famous guy at the time when I was doing course with you. And
not that famous, but yes.
You are famous from the point what you have done in your life and what you're doing still.
Okay, I'll take that.
And to be honest, you start as a guy who was doing community radio, phonics radio.
Community radio, and then we did a pirate radio. So it started on radio with Near FM out in Coolock was my first job. And it was just a community radio station we went in. I'm not sure how many listeners we actually had, but I did a year and a half there. And the great thing about having no listeners is you make mistakes and no one remembers. So it's like I always talk to people who want to make a podcast or want to make something. I was talking about the pancake. Think about the first pancake. It's always terrible. Everybody, no matter how long you're making pancakes, the first one's going to be bad. So you just make it and then throw it out. And then, look, I'm really good at making pancakes. So I don't make a bad pancake. But it's that idea that, look, the first pancake might be crap, but you'll, from there on, you just throw that out. So I had a year and a half of being on a mic.
Making pancakes, okay, go on.
Making pancakes, giving out pancake recipes, talking about Nutella. So we had a year and a half to just be probably really terrible, and there's no record of it. Nobody heard it. So it was the best education I could have gotten in radio.
But why decide to do that?
Myself and a friend of mine, we lived together. We'd gone to school together. He'd gone to college, I'd gone to college. We ended up after college and university living together in Dublin, and we were interested. He'd studied film studies. I'd done an acting course, I'd studied for acting for about 3 years, theatre, and we were interested in writing characters, so we wanted to write comedy.
Right.
We liked watching, there was a lot of comedy shows on the TV that we were fans of, and we tried to write these comedy characters, off-the-wall comedy characters, and it was very difficult to get things made. It's not like we had the money to make a movie. It's not like we had any contacts in television. We weren't you hear about Spielberg growing up, and he always had like a a camera, or we just didn't. We weren't that clued into with tech. So radio seemed a bit more accessible, and we thought. I mean, I grew up with my dad talking about a show called The Goon Show, and it was all radio based. So that you'd have your script and you'd play your characters into a mic, and with radio you can. It's the theater of the mind, as they say. So you can be anywhere you want, and you can put on a voice, and
right.
So radio just seemed the most accessible.
Nobody can see you.
Yeah, but nobody can see it. But also one of the comedy sketches we wrote was called Air Finglas, which was an airline based out of the back of a house in Finglas.
Okay. So
if you do that in television, it's an expensive thing to create. There's a lot of props. There's a lot of,
whatever, yeah.
On radio, you're just like,
have a fun and laugh.
Yeah, and you're pretending that there's
somebody
luggage,
else,
and you're pretending that there's a plane, and
nobody can see
there's a little reception at the front door. Like anything is possible, and that's kind of where I started in radio, was trying to write funny comedy sketches.
Ah, brilliant.
And perform them.
What about the Breakfast Republic experience?
Well, yeah, I did that for 5 and a bit years on RTE, and look, I worked in radio for 20 years in total, so that's kind of my last proper radio gig. I mean, it was great. It's great to have the opportunity to work on a national broadcaster where, there's, not where you have a big audience, where you have the opportunity to have a big audience if you do it properly. And we kind of had the time to do it badly, because like when we got our first book of listeners, how many people listened to the show, we had literally halved the audience of what was there.
Okay.
The guy who used to present the breakfast show, say for instance, he had 100,000 listeners. After like a few months of us, there's only 50,000 listeners.
Still not too bad.
It wasn't too bad, but it was because we were given the time to just do something completely different. It was totally off the wall, really bad at the start because we were just trying all sorts. And then, after a year, after 2 years, we built and we doubled the listeners and doubled again. And we ended up, being the number one show in the country.
Well done.
So it was a great opportunity. And obviously it's not that often that you get the opportunity to work on a show with 2 other people. So there was 3 of us, and I really liked that.
That is Joe Donnelly and what's his name?
Joe was the guy I did the show with before, and then I did a show with Bernard O'Shea.
And Jennifer Maguire.
Jennifer Maguire, who became Jennifer Zamparelli because she got married halfway through the show. Threw everybody off. So Bernard and Jen and myself, and because there was 3 of us, we just, we were a little team, and we looked after each other, and we had great crack,
And what is the hardest part when you're doing this job, from your point of view?
The easiest part is the presenting and the it's the politics and the behind the scenes and the stuff you can't do. There's a lot of it's literally, it's your name over the door. You sink or swim. There's nobody holding your hand. Very often people are trying to not help you rather than trying to help you. Our first show, it was my first time actually using that. So you'd operate the desk live, and that was my first time using that live, and I think I barely
able to.
But I'd hate to listen back to that show, So. But we just didn't have. We kept asking people if we could use a studio or do this or whatever. It really was like being sort of lambs to the slaughter in a way. And the politics and like working for a large organization like RT is
a different story.
Difficult, because they're very aware of legalities and what you could say wrong and what you might say wrong, and you have to behave a certain way, and it's owned
by somebody else, and you need to fit the purpose.
Ostensibly it's owned by the people because it's a national broadcaster. So we pay the license fee, we pay taxes to run it. So there's lots of things you can't do. There's a lot of legality. It's boring stuff. But the easiest thing is just going in and for the 3 hours doing the show and having fun.
You had fun then.
Oh yeah.
That is most important.
We had lots of fun.
Behind all this kind of crappy stuff.
Fun, and then we'd go after the show, and people would give out to us for saying certain things, and then we go, "Oh yeah, we'll never do it again," and then we just do it again.
It's fun
because we see you if you do everything someone if you do
Told
everything
you,
you're
yes.
told, you'd
Yeah.
have a boring show.
True, by the way, yes.
You'd still have a job, but you'd be bored.
But you need to bring your personality to show who is behind of their microphone, right?
Exactly. And so I think there are, you know, people who work in offices and don't entertain for a living and have all the rules and know what you should and shouldn't do. But there have been people who've fallen into that trap of just listening to, you know, what they're being told. And it's like you go into a machine and it just, I used to call it the blandinator, because you go through this machine and you come out bland. So RT has a habit of hiring very interesting people. And then next thing you see them on the telly and you're like, well, what happened to that very interesting person? You know?
Yeah, because you're not a machine, you're not a robot, you're human with a personality that you need to bring this up, even if you have some strict regulations.
Yeah, you got to push it. You got to ignore
Boundaries.
ignore the rules sometimes. You know, get in trouble.
I love this. Yeah. I like to go around the rules. It's nice.
The rules is just like
rules. It's not it's just
advisory.
Yes, exactly.
If you wouldn't mind.
If you didn't mind.
Yeah.
You didn't mind.
I do mind.
Okay. When I check your Instagram page, I found a few links that you stick with. One of them is the platform by mm.ie. So it's by Mandy Marker.
Mandy. Yeah, Mandy. Yeah.
So what is it about? What is the content? What's this platform doing?
Mandy's an agent. So she has, I think it was, she's always been involved in fashion. And so if you look at any of the events, any of the fashion bits on morning television, on
that's true.
Virgin Media, or Mandy would be there. She could be modeling, or it'd be her models, you know, modeling the clothes. And she's always been involved in like fashion at races, Galway races.
Yes, that's true.
Putting on fashion shows, whatever. She's just a big name in fashion, and she's always had an agency. So she's always representing models, and then
because
she looks at the fashion. But I'm not I'm not a model per se, but then she created this area called the platform for, I suppose, what you might, inverted commas, influencers, people who have a following on social media.
Okay.
And she then would get me jobs like giving. She might ring me up and say, "Do you want to be a guest speaker at this event?" And that kind of stuff. So she's an agent, really, you know. But she's brilliant. She's like
I follow her actually. She's very, very good, to be honest. She's absolutely stylish woman. Yeah. She's clever. She's very classic woman, and I like it.
She'll like you.
And to be honest, why I ask this question? Because it says talents, and my impression I had it. This is a platform not only looking after the modeling and performing, it's also looking after some people probably with a talent. Is this correct, or just basically focus on the modeling or on the fashion?
She has Catwalk, which is another sort of platform website. So there's the models are on Catwalk, and then you have the platform, which is like you've got Alan Hughes, who's a TV presenter. You know, so there's TV presenters, there's speakers, there's comedians, there's influencers. She has a wide range. So people with talent. And influencers as well.
From that.
I'm only joking.
It's true.
It's people who companies and organizations would need for events.
I got it.
So there's talent and influencers who have followers have a talent.
Correct. That can bring up more. I understand.
It's not recognized by other people.
Anyway, so you start your own podcast only in this year. Is this correct, or I misunderstood the message?
The Keith Walsh Podcast I started just as lockdown started. But I'd started before because I finished up my radio career, I suppose, before lockdown, 2018, just before,
Yes. Can I say what you're saying about your own podcast that you started up?
Go on.
It's a hobby more than anything else.
Yeah.
I'm experiment and learn about podcasting after I have left the radio industry.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just something I wanted to learn about podcasting. I was a little bit, I suppose, late to the party. Me as a radio person, I was always, technology-wise, I knew how to run the desk. I knew, the faders, the sound, and play music, all that kind of stuff. But sort of like editing and all that kind of stuff, I knew how to edit, but I was a bit lazy, and somebody else would edit. And
it's a hard part, to be honest.
Yeah. So I decided when I finished in RT and I finished in radio, I said, well, I really want to learn, and I started a podcast, and that pushed me into a place where I had to learn how to edit, I had to learn about platforms, had to learn about publishing, had to learn about
Okay.
booking guesting, I suppose I would have known about, but all of these things, and then when lockdown happened, you had to find a way to record. So then, like, the idea of using Zoom kicked in. I had been doing that already. Then started looking at other platforms like Riverside FM, which is like Zoom but built for podcasts. But it made me. It was a hobby, but it forced me into a place where I had to learn, and that's what I wanted. And I did about. I ended up at one point. I think during lockdown, I had so much time, like everybody else. I did like 3 episodes a week, but I had some great guests. And
did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, I still do the odd one. It's just there if I want, and sometimes something interesting comes up, and I'll interview someone and throw it out as a podcast. Don't really promote it that much. Just it's there, and I have 160 episodes or something.
Okay, so we keep like a hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby, but I learned, and I got the way they talk about 10,000 hours or whatever. Like I was able then to tell other people how to make podcasts.
It's basically I learned out of you a lot of things.
Trying to simplify it as much as possible.
It's hard, to be honest, very hard.
even when it's simplified.
No, when you start to follow somebody who knows everything and try to do at the same level, it's impossible for me anyway. So I found editing part it's a nightmare.
It can be hard, yeah. But you don't ever want to be doing it at the level of somebody who's been doing it for longer. You just need to start at your level, and then you will get better.
That's true. I understand, but time consuming.
Yeah. I think I benefited from lockdown.
Anyway, you advertise, maybe not advertisement. It's basically you're talking on your Instagram page about Wild and Well Festival. Is festival like electrical picnic or glamping camping, or it's something about special?
In a way, it's like electric picnic. But it's only a 1-day festival. It was the first year of Wet and Wild this year. It was over in Sligo, and it was just on this nice farm. And it's a wellness festival. So like electric picnic, there are areas of electric picnic where you can go and do yoga, and you can have a nice
on a small
jacuzzi
corner. To be honest, for this yoga. To be honest, I was there once.
Yeah, it is only a small area, but it's wellness. So it's people giving talks on mindfulness.
Okay.
Breathwork classes, yoga. There's a sauna. So that was just. So I just got booked to talk at that festival about mindfulness, which is something I'm very interested in, and I was very, very happy to do. And it was good. I hope those. It was a really nice festival that wasn't in any way commercialized, and felt very kind of nice and organic, and cool.
Okay, based on that comment, organic and cool, life coaching qualification. When did you get this?
Oh,
it's recently, not a long time ago. A couple of years ago.
It was just something I did because I started talking about mental health, and then people just would ask me advice. And sometimes I'd try and give people advice, but then I thought, well, I better get some sort of qualification and give people advice. And, a psychotherapy course takes a long time, and it's still something I think I will do. But in the meantime, I was able to do this course in life coaching, which is quite kind of adjacent. Now, the difference with life coaching, if you get to a space where you think the person needs a therapist, then
it's a different story.
You advise them to go, and they'd probably go to therapy and then come back to you, because you're only really there to help them figure things out and put plans in place and get on little goals, and and it can be anything. It'd be like accountability. So say, for instance, you come to me and say, I want to start a podcast, and I'm just there to be accountable. So every week you go, well, we said we'd do this by next Wednesday, so I better get that
Never
done.
happened.
Yeah, so it's either
on time anyway. It's happened, but not on time.
So every week you feel like you have pressure to get something done. There's somebody you have to report back to. It's an accountability coach, and and there's lots of facets of life coaching. So if, say, for instance, you wanted to leave your current job, you wanted to do something completely different, and I could help you navigate that without ruining your life, basically. Because people are like, I can't do this job anymore, and just walk out. Whereas the best thing to do really is what is it you want to do, and do a little bit of that and start adding more of that in, and then eventually you'll do less of what you don't and that, so it's about managing all that and explaining it to people, and also talking them down from just
this moment.
I want to leave the house, I want to leave my family, I want to leave my job. And just kind of talking them down and saying, well, let's look let's look at usually it's to do with how they're feeling and stuff they can do about their own feelings rather than everybody around them being the problem.
Would you say nowadays it's a common problem for people to understand what they want because the vibe in our life changed a lot, and people probably who at maybe 20 years ago talking get some education and they believe because I'm the accountant at the moment, so I'm going to be accountant all my life, but eventually something happened in their lives. It's a common thing now when people just start rethinking.
I think the problem is that people aren't being truly honest with themselves. Everybody knows what they want to do, but they're just not allowing themselves to believe.
Why?
Because they think that people will laugh at them. They think that people won't take them seriously. They think that it's ridiculous. Years gone by, your parents would have said to you, "Well, you need a backup plan. You need to get the job in accounting, and then, do the acting as like people do ultimately know what they want to do. And even within, say, for instance, if you are good at numbers and you're accountant, but your dream is to own your own, firm, or you want
coffee shop,
or even just your own accounting firm, and you feel like you've got your own way of doing things, and you think that would work. It's having the belief. People generally know what they want to do, but it's like, say, for instance, you decided, well, I actually just want to be like, I want to just live in nature. I want to live in a small house, and I want to have a goat and 2 chickens and a cow, right? If you said that to your friends, if you were living in the city and you had your friends, you went drinks in the evening to fancy bars, and if you said that to that group of friends, you'd quickly have no friends, and which is okay. But it's about having the bravery to go, you know what, actually, if I'm myself rather than who I think other people want me to be, I will end up doing what I need to do, or I'll end up where I should be. It's very often we're fighting against, to hold
system?
On to our own. People sort of put this structure around them.
Aesthetics.
Jobs. So why did you study this in university? Well, my parents thought my teachers told me I was good at it. My parents thought I'd be good at it, and they always wanted me to get into, medicine or being a doctor and all that. So you find yourself having studied hard, gone to university, got your degree, done everything that everybody else told you to do, and then you find you're not fulfilled because. At what point did you go, actually, well, this is what I want to do? You've always done the thing that you think other people, it's like being passive in your own life. Okay. So you're allowing life to happen to you rather than, affecting it and having an effect on your life, right? So it's much more important that you are the driver, okay? You can't let, it's very easy for me to say, but don't let your parents be the driver. Don't let your boss be the driver. Don't let your friends be the driver. Don't worry about what other people think you should do, and what they think of you is none of your business. You've got to be, I always talk about putting the blinkers on and be true to yourself. And otherwise, that's where you're looking at depression. That's where you're looking at just getting lost. And that's where you get the question, I don't know what to do with my life. We just don't do this is the answer.
But what about their responsibilities and society? Because you live with people, you live with your family, and sometimes if you one day decided, maybe not one day, but you basically talk out loud about this one day and saying, okay, I'd like to have a chicken and live in the middle of the forest. But it will affect not only you, if you made this decision, it will affect your family, your maybe wife, husband, kids, parents, circle of friends, whatever.
Yeah.
How deal with that?
Well, you see, if you are in a relationship with somebody and there's mutual respect, then you should be able to figure something out. It should never be, well, it's my way or your way.
Your way, okay.
You shouldn't be. It should be compromise. So there was a point where I wanted to write a play, and I wrote the play, but I also had to pay the bills, so I couldn't just say.
That's most important to.
I couldn't just say to my family, I'm just going down to the shed down the back there for 4 months to write this thing. Good luck with paying the bills and everything. I'll see you then when I'm done. And
I'll be back.
And when I've written the play, it's going to be a huge success, and we'll never have any money. So that's unrealistic. So what you have to do is you have to find the time to build in the things that you want to do into your life, and then expand them. And then as the people around you, your friends, your family, get used to it. And also for a lot of people, they realize maybe they've ended up in the wrong relationship, and because that was also part of them
Yes,
being
I know what you
passive
mean.
and
Yes.
doing what they thought they should do, and responsibilities. And a lot of responsibilities we take on and we see as responsibilities aren't actually responsibilities. And also your kids will get to a certain age where they'll be living their own lives and
It's true
you'll be
as well.
left
Yeah.
with these responsibilities you've taken on, and you don't really need them anymore and they don't need you anymore. And, so you really have to be true to yourself. And you have to have, if you can't have honest conversations with the person that you're married to, the person you're in a relationship with, the person that's supposed to love you, that's a problem.
According again to their social media,
Social media is a lot to answer for.
yes, but it's a little facts about your life, okay?
My life.
Back to childhood. You was saying that you was smoking at the 15.
Smoking, yeah.
Smoking,
Smoking
drinking.
hot. I was a good-looking 15-year-old. No, sorry. Yes, 15. I was smoking, drinking. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Not drinking, but mostly smoking. And what you saying yourself, it seems to be a thing to do.
Yeah.
It was cool.
cool,
The
yeah.
older kids did do
I was
the
cool.
same.
What
It
can I
was
say?
cool. That's making people, maybe kids, teenagers, thinking that way. But then eventually, and when you start growing, you decide stop,
Yeah.
and you fight with these bad habits, right?
Yeah.
But also you were saying that you, at that time when you started fighting with that, you verified, you understood, maybe somebody helped you that you had an anxiety. And probably you tried to replace this anxiety feelings because you can't explain without the smokings and look cool because you can't maybe control it, know what to do.
Yeah.
How that affects your life after?
Well, I mean, it's an awareness, you get to an age where, like, I went to therapy and I learned a lot more about myself and who I was. And eventually, sort of a couple of years later, got this diagnosis of ADHD. And, and then you start looking back and you're going, okay, so when I was 15, I thought, oh, I'm smoking because I'm a rebel, because I want to be in trouble, because it's cool. And then somebody said, well, actually, you probably smoke because you had anxiety. And that would have helped you with dopamine, and that would have helped you with your brain thinks it's bored, it needs something. Cigarettes can give you dopamine, so you smoke. Like there's lots of very obvious physical,
Things
mental
like,
reasons. It's not just people just don't pick up a cigarette and go, now I love smoking. Yes, I know it's bad for me, but 2 fingers to death because I'm crazy. It's that actually you have a need for something.
Attention. Would you say it was needs for attention?
I would say your body is looking for something which cigarettes gives you. So it's an imbalance. It's not actually like, attention. I don't know that I loved attention, but the smoking, the nicotine helps create dopamine, an excitement in your brain, because if you've ADHD, you've low dopamine. So you're always looking for something. You're looking for something to, you're looking to. I never robbed a car. I was never a joyrider, but I can see why people got in trouble as a kid, because they're bored. They're looking for excitement, and it's to do with, it can be often to do with low dopamine. But the point of it all is that, and I drank for many years and I gave that up as well. But I gave up drink when I dealt with the thing that I was drinking because of. Do you know? So smoking, the drinking, they're all a form of medication. Like you might take a tablet if you've got a headache. So the point of it is, if you look at somebody who has an addiction, as a country, we need to look beyond the addiction, and we need to look at what's going on for this person that they feel like they need to take heroin. And that's the medicine that helps them with the pain of living. So living is very painful for that person. It's very easy for me to say, oh, you need to stop taking heroin. The only way they can actually survive alive is by taking heroin. You'll get another person, and the only reason they're still alive is because they have a few glasses of wine at the weekend. It's just a medicine. So if you can, people often talk to me and say, I like to give up drinking. Just don't worry about the drink. Go to a therapist, figure some stuff out, and the drink will just disappear, because it's never about that. Because you're drinking to fill a hole, to cover something. Maybe it's a trauma. Whatever it is, it's affected you physically, and the drink or the drugs or the joyriding or the smoking, it's just medication. Like the doctor might give you some Xanax or something like that.
Like that. But in your life, you had such experience when you was afraid to have your own family, and you was afraid to have your own kids. Why? Because you had, again, modeling. You had bad modeling in your life to follow it.
So I think growing up in the 80s, I mean, a lot of certainly what my parents believed was like, discipline was huge and it was physical, but it would get totally out of hand, and it would be totally, absolutely more than necessary. Like,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, at that time it was.
It just
like
went
that.
too far, but it was like that for everybody in the 80s. And you go into school, and a teacher might give you a beating, and you might go home, and the teacher might give you a beating, and that's the way it was.
At the time when you was at school, this was happening.
Yeah. It was very common.
The teacher was. Oh.
Yeah, both, yeah. And it's very common, and you could come home and you could say to your parents you got a beating, but they might say, well, you probably deserved it. Okay. So this was so it wasn't really a good place for kids at the time. But that will show you how, if you want to ask, does discipline work? It's certainly, physical.
It doesn't work.
Slapping, beating, any caning, it doesn't work, and it will never work. So I was like, well, I'm not sure about having kids, but actually I thought, no, I will have kids, but I'm never going to do
ABC, what you come across.
I'm going to be the person that stops, because I presume it was done to my parents, and I presume it was done to their parents, and they're just passing it on. So you kind of get to a point where you're like, well, I will have kids, and I just won't. I will try not to interfere with their lives so much that it makes, because life is hard. There is anxiety, there is stress, there's stuff they're going to have to deal with. I don't want to add to that. If anything, I want to be a support when they get to those places,
So would you say, again, that's because of your childhood memories based on your family modeling, that's probably why you had this anxiety. Yeah,
I'd say so, yeah. And some people would say that ADHD can be developed from trauma, and some of that can be generational, some of it can be, it can be something that's in you anyway. And then but kids have ADHD who grow up in very nice households as well. Absolutely. So definitely it had my anxiety. I mean, I had a huge issue with, authority, older people, speaking with adults when I was a young person. But also didn't recognize how bad my anxiety was, because just thought everybody felt like that,
Sure. So what do you recommend nowadays if somebody realizes something wrong with them? So what they should do first? If it's a child, probably talk to the parents. But if you talk about the adults, what adults realize something wrong and they can't find the answer? What they should do first?
God, that's a big answer. I mean,
point.
I think, I'm a big advocate of talk therapy, and I would try, if you can afford it, I would look for a therapist. And if you...
Like yourself? At the beginning?
Well, I mean, sometimes it can be, if it's depression as opposed to mental illness, because then you got to go to your doctor, or go to A&E and go and get help immediately. If you're, if it's mental illness and you're really struggling and it's bad, you can't get out of bed, and but depression, feeling low, can be caused by stress and anxiety, and stress and anxiety can be caused by your environment, it can be caused by work, it can be caused by relationships, it can be caused by stuff that's happened to you from when you were young that you never actually really recognized and thought about. Look, the best thing to do really is if it's just feeling low, we're always trying to escape bad feelings. So we have happiness and happiness good, sadness bad.
Yes,
laughing good, crying bad. So look, there's no such thing as bad emotion. There's no such thing as good emotion. They're just your emotions.
Emotions.
And it's how your body is feeling at the time. So you just need to recognize it. So if you're feeling worried, recognize it.
And be honest to yourself. Again, be honest to yourself, correct?
If I'm on the side of the stage and I'm about to do a thing and I feel anxious, I'm going to say, well, of course I feel anxious. I'm about to walk onto a stage and there's loads of people out there. Of course I feel anxious. I'm not going to say, oh, why do I hate feeling anxious? I should just be able to walk onto that stage and feel really super cool and super calm. Well, you don't. So you sit with it and allow yourself to be anxious and talk it and name it. And if it means going out on stage and going, I feel really nervous, you've named it. Like, recognize the body wants you. The body wants your attention. The body is an attention seeker. He's going, I don't think this is a safe place for you to be, and that's why you're feeling the anxiety. And it's there for a reason. And as long as you're able to say to the body, yeah, I hear you, good, but I'm actually okay here, I think. But thanks very much anyway. Then you're recognizing it. So if you feel sad, sit with the sadness and feel it. It doesn't mean that you're going to be like sad forevermore. If you recognize your sadness, you're going to be sad. Then you're never going to be happy, or you're going to be more sad. If you try and push it down, if you have a drink because you feel sad.
Yes. Stop drinking.
Don't have a drink because you feel sad. Have a drink if you want, but sit down, recognize how you're feeling. Maybe you need a bit of a cry. Maybe you need to figure out, why do I feel sad? Have I just come from a situation that's made me feel, there's a bit of PTSD there. Yeah. Maybe you just left your parents' house and you're feeling sad. You know, why do I always feel sad? So be curious, allow it to be there, have an awareness. And that's kind of a meditation, really. Just sit there and allow it. Don't try and push it away. Just sit there, allow it to cycle through your body, and then maybe in an hour sit down and have a drink. You know, but
I know.
Give the time to the emotion. That is the key. Don't and this is like mindfulness. That's what it is. People talk about meditation. People think, oh, I need to sit down and I need to clear my mind, and then at some point I'll elevate, and then I'll.
Can I say that because of maybe this is anxiety, maybe because of things that was happening in your head at the time when you had an issue with your work? Let's go. Okay, let's go.
Redundant, not needed.
Yeah, so I believe it was so hard for you to accept because it wasn't fair. And my question next, why did you wait for amount of time before you took illegal action against the company?
Yeah, well, you see, I suppose I didn't wait, but these things take time. Sometimes, so when I left 2FM, when I was sacked from 2FM, when they told me they didn't have any work for me anymore, I was. This was a big learning for me because I was very upset, but I felt a huge amount of rejection, right? My issue at the time was that I had put so much of myself, I had an
know exactly what you're
to this
about.
career, to this persona, this guy who works in the radio station. Blah, blah, blah. So it was easy for me to say, if I met you and you said, so what do you do? And I go, I work in 2FM, I do the breakfast show, and it was a way of me saying that's exactly who I am then, yeah. And I thought that was who I. So when that was removed from me, I was like, well, I actually haven't really done much work on who I actually am. I've just based a lot of it on this job, and now it's gone. And how dare you take it away from me? Because it's like you decide to take my leg off. So that's why I went to therapy, because this is not a good way to live your life. You can't believe that you're your job, because you're not.
Absolutely. I know. I kind of come across the same.
So it just took me time to do that first, so have a bit of to get into therapy. And then as time went on, I had a look at, and it was literally, there's a mechanism by which the Department of Social Protection will come and say to you, look, can you come in and do this, it's called a scope test. We want to see if RT owe us tax because we believe that they had you in there as self-employed. We believe you weren't self-employed, you were actually staff. So I'm going, okay, I'll come in, and we had a conversation. You were definitely staff. You should have been staff. So that means you missed out on your pension, you missed out on holiday pay, you missed out on blah, 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 you missed out on blah, blah, blah. And also they've sacked you illegally. So it's unfair dismissal. Probably reputation damage. Probably. So then you're going, okay, that's not good. Whereas, I was kind of like, shit happens, move on. But now I'm like, yeah, I kind of had a feeling, but I didn't know if I had a leg to stand on. So then you go and have a look at that. And these things take time, and it's ongoing. And it's not like my life's mission. I'm not doing it for revenge. I'm not doing
absolutely
it
right.
in anger. I'm just like, okay, well, let's just get this sorted. And
sorted for what point? To
get money.
Fantastic. But if somebody in the same situation, what you can recommend based on your own experience? Why they have to do this? Because of what?
Well,
if not talk about money, for example.
Money. Yeah.
No, but would you say just maybe not revenge, but proof, the name, their own name, just reputation.
I think reputation damage. Yeah. Because
that is most
you want to be able to go,
have.
look, this is the reason that. I suppose the thing in radio that if other radio stations did think that I was sacked because I wasn't good enough.
Yes.
And then I couldn't get other jobs. Then it's about reputation. And if I can come out and go, not that I actually want to work in radio anymore, and I don't, but if I can come out and go, well, actually, these are the reasons that I lost my job. And it was nothing to do with my ability, because if you look at the listenership figures, it's up to here. You look at, if you look at the likability factor, blah, blah, blah,
Yes,
all the
yes.
reports, blah, 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 but actually they knew they were in trouble because this was coming down the line, and they knew that the government were looking at this and this and this and this, and this was a bogus self-employment situation. And that's why they sacked me. And that affected my life in this way. And to be able to come out and say that is it hasn't taken over my life. I do other stuff, but just to be able someday to go, well, this is actually what happened,
Because you're a strong person, but some person who maybe wouldn't be that strong, to be honest, they could be affected badly, and they can end up in this mental house.
Yeah, and there are other people who I talk to and I help and I tell them what to do, because maybe I've the experience, and maybe I'm a bit stronger, so I'm able to help them do what I'm doing as well. So it's important.
Fair play to you,
It's modeling as well,
Okay, from what you are doing at the moment, just you helping other people with the mental issues.
Yeah.
So tell us maybe the most successful story that you come across recently when you help person get your advice and you can see the result out of that.
Okay, so I'll use somebody I work with. I'll use them as an example. Okay, so this person who had separated from her husband. She was living in a house with one child, and she was sort of back in college. She wanted to study to become to improve, because her mother had died, who she was very fond of and very close to. She then took on a sort of a carer's role for her father and her older brother as well. Okay, so the father and the brother lived in the house. And she would go over to that house and she would make sure they had dinner or cook dinner or do dinner, do their laundry, blah, 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 blah. And, she came to me and she said, I just, I have no friends. I'm just like, it's just me on my own, and I have my daughter, obviously. But then, and she didn't come over saying, I can't have to deal with this problem of my dad and my brother, because she felt a duty to do it, And with her, the big thing we realized and we talked about was boundaries.
Okay.
So people asking and expecting something of you, and then you're passive so that you give them the thing that they expect. And not only do you do the thing and you give the thing and you constantly, and you're always there, and you do the shopping and you do but they're ungrateful.
Yeah.
So
happened.
You have to do it as a duty, and then you go, oh yeah, but dad, he's just really grumpy and he always gives out, right? But dad can be grumpy and give out on his own. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to do some things for your dad, because everybody, because you're going to ultimately feel bad for it.
Yeah.
But you decide what you're going to do. I'm going to do this on this day and this on this day. 2 days a week, I'm going to do these things, right? You're going to do everything else. If you ever need any help, or if you want to pick up the phone and ask for my advice on how to do something, do that. But I'm going to be here this day and I'll do the shopping. I'll be here this day to do whatever. And that's it. And sometimes I might call in just to say hello and have a cup of tea, but not to do work.
Not looking at your fingers.
So that was a huge part of where her energy was going. She didn't have time for herself. She was doing it and then getting and they were complaining about it being. So it's about, there's sometimes some things you think I can't change that. That's a responsibility. I have to do that. But maybe you can do it in a way that's structured and that you're deciding what way it's done. It will be working
for you as well.
You decide. So you decide how much time you get this. You decide how much time you get, and you decide how much. And then we worked on maybe saying yes sometimes to those people. That she'd stop going to the gym because she didn't have time. And she loved going there. So she got back to the gym.
That's so bad.
Then when she's in the gym, start saying yes to people who suggested coffee. So it's just little, and that's over, like you're talking about over a year. Like that wasn't like 1 week. But each day, like there was one day where I said, where there was a thing and I said, can you just do this one thing today, which is just sign back up to the gym. That's your homework for the week.
And now is the funny part, quickly.
That's the funny part.
Yes. Okay, I'll give you 5 names of their TV presenters in Ireland.
Yeah.
And you have to compare, in your opinion, them or association with the birds.
With birds?
Yes.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
So Name of the two presenters. It's Catherine Thomas,
Yeah.
Wok Williams, Miriam
Fogg Williams,
O'Connell,
yeah.
Elaine Crowley, Lucy Kennedy. So name of the birds: eagle,
Yeah.
flamingo, peacock,
Yeah.
duck,
Yeah.
ostrich.
Jesus.
Okay, so just quickly remind to our listeners how the people, those women, look like. Okay.
God, this is terrible.
No, it's for fun.
Cancelled for comparing somebody
Okay,
to,
I show you.
comparing
I'll be
somebody
so
to a
quick. Okay,
flamingo.
there again. So Catherine Thomas.
Yeah, Catherine, yeah. Are you talking about based on looks or just personality?
It's your own opinion. You can based
Catherine
on look
is an
or
eagle.
if you know personalities, maybe even better. Yeah. Then next person is Wok Williams.
Fogg is, she's a flamingo.
Just remind you guys, Miriam O'Connell.
Miriam O'Connell, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Miriam
girl.
is,
look beautiful.
swan.
Elaine Crowley.
Elaine Crowley, yeah.
So another beautiful woman, and Lucy Kennedy.
Kennedy, yeah. Okay.
Okay, another. So Catherine Thomas look like, in your opinion.
Look like.
Okay, look like you have association with when you look at her, if you know her even better.
She's an eagle.
Maybe what
eagle.
association you have with her? Eagle, flamingo, peacock, duck, ostrich.
Eagle.
Eagle. Fantastic. Catherine. Eagle. Okay, next one. Wok Williams.
Fogg Williams.
It's a flamingo, peacock, flamingo.
Yeah.
Miriam O'Connell.
I'm going to say a duck because she doesn't look like a duck at all. But she's a friend of mine. She won't mind because I can't say duck for anybody else.
Okay, Elaine Crowley.
Elaine
Peacock
probably.
Peacock. Okay, Lucy Kennedy, and she's actually ostrich. It's not bad.
Yeah, she puts her head in the sand and hopes it'll go away. I don't think she does.
But she doesn't.
She's a very fast runner. That's it.
That's why she's ostrich. Anyway, Keith, thank you very much for
Tanya.
being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Actually, it was
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
I'm impressed. Oh my God. Anyway, it was lovely conversation, and I believe it was very helpful conversation for the people who has come across maybe the same situation in their life. And thank you very much for staying with me. Thank you again, Keith.
People who are compared to ostriches, they'd be interested.
They compare me to who? Goose? Then. Go. Anyway, thank you very much for staying with me. I'm Tanya Corless. Stay tuned in. Bye.